All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful armies in the world. Except this army, well, it has no soldiers, no tanks, no fighter jets. Its battlefield is the internet, and its weapons are nothing but lines of code. This is the story of North Korea's secret cyber army, the Lazarus Group.
So, picture this. It's December 2014. President Obama is on TV, and he's issuing this really stark warning to North Korea after a massive cyber attack. He's downplaying it, right? He calls it vandalism. But you just know that behind the scenes, U.S. intelligence was scrambling, trying to get its head around a totally new kind of threat, a secret army that had just publicly humiliated a major global corporation.
And that really gets to the heart of the matter here. I mean, what kind of army can shut down hospitals, freeze entire banking systems, and steal billions of dollars from halfway across the world, all without firing a single bullet?
To understand how this digital ghost army even came to exist, we have to go way back to the very beginning, to the creation of North Korea itself. You know, a nation that was basically forged in the fires of war and then sealed off in total isolation.
Okay, so after World War II, Korea gets split in two. The Korean War that followed was just catastrophic. It completely leveled 85% of the North's infrastructure. In the aftermath, its leader, Kim Il-sung, rebuilt the entire country under this new, pretty radical ideology that was designed to completely wall his nation off from the rest of the world.
And that ideology has a name, Juche. It basically means extreme self-reliance. Foreign stuff, banned. Foreign media, banned. The global internet, absolutely banned. So you can see how this created this perfect hermetically sealed bubble, the ideal environment for a secret government program to grow, completely undetected by anyone on the outside.
So inside this bubble, while its own people were completely cut off from the web, the regime looked at the internet and saw a powerful new weapon. They saw it as this incredible asymmetric advantage against its much richer enemies. And so, it began to build its army of cyber warriors.
And this is how they do it. It's actually pretty chilling. The military scours the entire country looking for child prodigies in math and science. These kids, they're taken from their families and put in these secret camps. There, they're put through this intense ideological brainwashing and trained relentlessly in programming. They are literally forged from childhood into these elite cyber soldiers who are loyal only to the supreme leader.
So, what can this army of state-sponsored hackers actually do? Well, their track record, it reads like a script from some crazy Hollywood blockbuster. Let's take a look at some of their greatest hits.
Now, what's really wild here is the massive leap in their skills. I mean, in 2009, their first big attack was a pretty basic DDoS attack. You know, that's where you just flood websites with junk traffic to knock them offline. It's annoying, but it's temporary. But just 5 years later, they had evolved to a point where they could digitally dismember a multinational corporation.
And that corporation was Sony Pictures. So, what was the trigger? A Seth Rogen comedy called The Interview. It depicted a fictional assassination of North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. The regime did not find it funny. They saw it as an act of war and promised they would retaliate.
And the fallout was breathtaking. They didn't just steal data, they weaponized it. Entire unreleased movies were just dumped online for free. Cringy private emails from top executives were published for the whole world to read. And then, by leaking sensitive employee data online, they basically intimidated Sony into pulling the movie from theaters.
The total damage wasn't just to their reputation. The financial hit to Sony was estimated at a staggering $200 million. This was a massive show of force.
Okay, so after Sony, the mission changed. Humiliation was one thing, but now, the Lazarus Group was being told to finance the state itself. So in 2016, they set their sights on the Central Bank of Bangladesh.
And they weren't trying to steal a few $1,000,000 here. Their target was $1 billion. Using stolen banking credentials, they started firing off dozens of fraudulent transfers from the bank's account at the Federal Reserve in New York.
It was almost the perfect crime. Almost. But you're not going to believe what stopped them. A typo. In one of the transfer requests, they misspelled foundation as foundation. This tiny little error raised a red flag at a routing bank, which put a stop to the transfers. They didn't get the full billion, but they still walked away with nearly $90 million.
Their next big operation? It changed the game entirely. They unleashed something called WannaCry. It was a ransomware virus, and it didn't have one specific target. Its target was basically everyone.
See, ransomware encrypts all your files, making them totally useless until you pay a ransom, usually in cryptocurrency.
The result was just global chaos. In only 4 hours, WannaCry infected over 230,000 computers across 150 countries. It crippled the UK's National Health Service, forcing hospitals to cancel actual surgeries. It shut down German railways and paralyzed corporations all over the world.
You know, it's easy to think of the Lazarus Group as this faceless, monolithic force, but we actually have a rare window into their world, and it's all thanks to the story of a young man who was chosen to join their ranks and somehow managed to escape.
His name is Jong-yuri. He was a brilliant math prodigy, scouted as a boy for his incredible talent. He was the exact profile the state looks for when creating its next generation of cyber warriors. He was on the fast track to becoming one of them.
So as a teenager, he gets sent abroad for a math competition. And for the very first time in his life, he saw a world with constant electricity, with uncensored internet, with people who weren't living in constant fear. And you can just imagine the crisis he must have felt. How could he go back and build weapons designed to harm this incredible world he was just discovering? That one glimpse of freedom, it changed everything. He defected.
Jong-yuri's story is incredible, right? But the machine he escaped from has only gotten stronger and, honestly, way more audacious. It really represents this fundamental shift in modern conflict, a new era of warfare that's fought on digital front lines.
And that primary front is now finance, especially cryptocurrency. I mean, just look at these numbers. From banks to crypto exchanges, the Lazarus Group's heists are estimated to have raked in over $9 billion. And that's money that goes directly to the North Korean state.
So here's the crucial thing to understand. This isn't just a series of really sophisticated crimes. This is statecraft. For a nation that is completely cut off by international sanctions, the Lazarus Group is basically its own rogue treasury department. It's an economic lifeline that funds missile programs and projects power all over the globe, all from behind a keyboard.
Which really leaves us with a final, kind of unsettling question. As our world becomes more and more reliant on digital systems for everything, from our money to our hospitals, who really holds the power? Is it the nations with the biggest armies, or is it the ones with the sharpest code?